Oh, and by the way, you could also use it with whole number data types like integers, bytes, longs. But I'm not even going to bother trying to do a printout. Let's just try to compile it. And see right away the compiler gives us an error. And it gives us a lot of cryptic nonsense. But the reason we're getting this error is because we're trying to use modulo division with a floating point or two floating point numbers. Okay, so don't do it. Let's comment that away. And let's move on. If you're new to programming, right now you may be thinking something like, well, why the heck would I want to throw away the quotient or the answer and keep the remainder? Trust me, the modulo operators like that friend you don't see every day, but when you call them for help, they're always there with bells on. You may not use it in every program, but you will eventually use it, and it will make your life easier. And just so you believe me, a quick example of a practical use for the modulo operator would be to determine if one number is a multiple of another. If so, the remainder using modulo division of the two numbers will be 0, and there are many other uses. And one final note here. The modulo operator has the same level of precedence as multiplication and division. And perhaps we could change a little mnemonic to please excuse my magnificent dear Aunt Sally. Or not. So, let's move on here. And it's time that we bust this thing wide open. And this is something that confuses many programmers, especially new ones. Okay, so here it is. In Arduino and C, the equal sign does not mean equals. Rather, it's a value assigning operator or the assignment operator. So the statement like this assigns the value 2020 to the variable year. Okay, and let me spell it out right. The item to the left of the equal sign, or the assignment operator, as we'll call it from here on, is a name of a variable, year. And the item on the right is the value assigned to that variable, in this case, 2020. Don't think of the line as saying year equals 2020, though. Instead, read it as assign the value 2020 to the variable year. This may sound similar, but trust me, they're different. And let's give year a data type. Let's call it integer. Anyway, most operators evaluate from left to right. The assignment operator breaks this rule and evaluates from right to left. Now, the equality operator is two equal signs right next to each other. And this operator should be read is equal to. And you may be wondering when to use the equality operator. And this snippet of code I'm going to type below gives you an example. This statement says, if A equals B, then do something. And this code can do anything. It could be code to turn on a fan, turn on a motor, sound an alarm, blink an LED, and the list goes on and on. Confusing the assignment operator with the equality operator can result in logic errors that could be hard to find and debug. For example, don't do this. Doing this assigns whatever value is in variable B to variable A. So we're assigning something. We're not comparing something. Here we're comparing A to B. Here we are assigning a value. The statement always evaluates to true because it's just an assignment statement. And because of this, the if statement always executes no matter what. So let me demonstrate this. I'm going to comment that out. And I'm just going to put a note here. And I'm going to change these variables. Okay, hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. Let's go ahead, and I had to uncomment some of the, or all the other code we commented out because those variables are used for this. Let's give it a shot. I forgot to close my if statement with a bracket. Okay, and things like this happen even to veterans, so if you're a beginner, don't get frustrated about this kind of thing, because people forget, everybody forgets once in a while, and makes silly mistakes. But looks like here we are uploading. and we can see the code inside the if statement did indeed execute. Now, you might be wondering, well, so what? What does that mean? So this should say if B is equal to E. But we made a mistake, quote unquote, on purpose and left out one of the equals. Instead of writing this, we wrote this. So B up here was equal to 9. It was 3 squared because of this line of code. Okay, guys? And E we found was, I believe, 11. Let's see. Yeah, E was 11. So obviously 9 does not equal 11. So an if statement like this saying if 9 equals 11, then do all this stuff, this should never ever execute because 9 does not equal 11, never has, never will. But we're not using the equality operator. What we're saying is we have an if statement here, and then we're telling the compiler, okay, go ahead and set variable B equal to whatever E is. And then it's falling into this loop. So this is a big time logical error. Okay, and if I change this and I write this code right, and I put in 2 equal signs, then it should skip over this whole block of code. Let's verify that, upload it, and it's going to go through the stuff we did earlier. And you see, this if statement never executed because we got the relational operator right. We did not make that logical error this time. So guys, be really, really careful when using the assignment operator and the equality operator. Don't confuse them. If you do, it can cause lots of trouble. So now that we know what the assignment operator and the equality operator are and the difference between them, we need to talk about a few other handy operators you'll often use. There are actually 2 equality operators in Arduino. The second one is a not equal operator, which looks like this. And I'm going to write some code that suggests a use for it. It's just a code snippet, actually. It's not going to do anything. So if A okay, so here we're saying if A is not equal to B, then fall into the loop or the if statement and do something. Now, most of us are familiar with the other relational operators, assuming we've gotten through 2nd or 3rd grade.